Diana, just to pick it up on the economic strength that we're seeing, to be clear, we're talking about the U.S. markets right now, and also the employment picture very strong in the United States. What does that mean to you, though, in terms of the strength of the consumer? And we are hearing we do hear, and we certainly have heard of a lot of layoffs as well.
Yeah, you're right. And yet the unemployment rate has remained low. Employment has been pretty strong in Canada too, which if you're thinking about the housing and mortgage and rates, as long as people have jobs, um, that can continue working. There hasn't been a significant stress seen yet. We're predicting it, but we've been predicting, you know, 22, most forecasts were wrong. 23, most forecasts were wrong. So there's lots of moving parts and they move fast. The surprises have been fast and furious. The earnings surprise on technology has been incredible. Like we can go through, the earnings that the Magnificent Seven, for example, have posted, and margins and revenue. Those have been surprising to all the naysayers as to why the expensiveness of them and the expensiveness of the market. So my point, my point in all of this is that there's been many surprises to the upside on the demand, which is why I kind of cautiously say the real question is what's going to happen over the next 3 years, because there's lots of major seismic shifts going on, whether it's AI in healthcare. It kind of reminds me of mid 90s, in the advent of the internet. There was all these companies that they had revenues, didn't have revenues. The difference between what happened in 2000 in the tech world was that most of it was no earnings. Today, the Mag 7 have a huge amount of earnings, for example. So lots of changes and lots of positive things. Yes, we're a little overcooked, but for now, there are too many positives that could work well at the 4% rate.
Okay, so a lot to pick up on there, Diana. I'm curious, with respect to the big six or seven, depending on what you're including in that.
Yeah.
Do you then think, and I love the fact that you're talking about, let's think about investing on a 3-year time period versus quarterly or for the year, because I'm really trying at this point, to your point about so many moving pieces and parts and seismic changes. Some are glacial, some are faster moving. What you think are the key themes over the next 3 years? Do you stick with the big 6 or 7 tech stories?
So this has been the story also of 2023. The index has outperformed most investors, just because the Mag 7 or 6, or maybe Netflix replaces Tesla. But it's at 30% of the index. To overweight that kind of weight would mean that you're going to be plus 30 in your portfolio. I think from a risk-adjusted return, you wouldn't do that to your portfolio. So the seismic shifts are that, yes, you have some exposure to the cloud, artificial intelligence, but there is other things on the healthcare side, whether it's weight loss, um, you know, um, Microsoft, Nvidia, Lilly, um, and some energy too. There could be, because that sector has been pretty weak and underperforming. The only problem with energy is that there is a lot of supply out there. But yes, we kept ourselves pretty large cap at the top holdings anyway, exposed to some of these things that look like they have some kind of runway. I mean, artificial intelligence to me reminds me of the internet, when everybody was starting to talk, oh, there's this thing called internet, and then it kind of took over our lives. So there's lots of implementations. Some companies will win, some companies will lose. There's going to be too much money thrown at it, and then it'll sift through the good and bad. But yeah, those are some of the
Right.
themes that I would go with for the next little while.
Mm. Okay, and some of the things I'm thinking about as well, like when you talk about energy, there might be too much supply from a near-term perspective because of the shale players, but those wells also decline faster. So I want to pick up on that after the break. But also, when we think about the weight loss drugs, I really wonder what does that mean for some of the consumer staples companies? People are actually eating and consuming less volume. What does it mean for fast food? What does it mean for some of the health food oriented companies? So we'll pick that up on the other side of the break. We'll be right back.